What up guys? Welcome back to the FitMenCook kitchen. So today's video is a lot of fun. We've got a transition video. Now many of you have written me and you've had a lot of success regarding the keto diet, but now you're ready to introduce carbs back into your diet and you are super anxious about gaining a bunch of weight. So first off, I totally understand this fear. This was a real fear for me as well, especially when you've just done so much to lose the weight. The fear of going back to your former self is very real. I didn't have this fear when it came to keto, but I've had this before. So two things. The first one, you'll be fine. Remember that if you've lost the weight before, then you can lose it again. It wasn't just the diet and exercise that helped out, it was your discipline as well. So you did that in your mind and you won in your mind first and then you won in your body. However, and secondly, transitioning properly from any extreme diet, and yes, I do classify keto as an extreme diet because it is pretty restrictive both in foods and macronutrients. So transitioning from any extreme diet can lead to unnecessary weight gain. Alright, so first off, why in the world are you stopping keto? You gotta first determine what that why is, just in case there could be other factors at play. Now for instance, if you're going through a really tough time emotionally, all that emotion can lead to not so positive choices in another diet as well. So it's best to work on those emotional factors before trying to transition into something brand new. But I suspect that most of you or us are heading into the fall and winter months and meals are much more carb heavy. We've got a lot of comfort food, there are tons of gatherings, you've got sporting events and tailgating. A super restrictive diet may not be conducive. And remember, at the end of the day, I will continue preaching this until y'all get me on this, is that your diet should always complement your lifestyle. This is the number one reason I find that people fail in their diets, is because they are not having diets that they can sustain because they don't complement what they do on a day-to-day basis. So unless you're prepared to make necessary sacrifices and potentially forego social gatherings, or you have really aggressive fitness goals because you are a competitor or you have a photo shoot, like you legit have those things, then you're likely headed to diet failure, so it's best to transition from that diet. And keep in mind guys, you can always go back to the keto diet, especially for those that have been fat adapted for quite some time. It will likely be much easier for you to get back into that after temporarily breaking ketosis. So here are some tips to transition from the keto diet, and really just any diet for that matter. Number one, first thing you gotta do is make a plan. Now, I'm not saying that you need to have an exact play-by-play of your diet for the next few weeks, even though that is pretty helpful, but you should have an idea of how you want to start incorporating carbs back into your diet. And this could look like many different things. It could mean adopting a similar diet for a brief period of time. You can consider carb cycling or even trying a paleo-ish approach to your diet. For carb cycling, this means eating more or less carbs on certain days, while others are essentially carb-free or super low, similar to keto, but without all the high amounts of fat. Paleo is another diet that you may want to consider doing. It's similarly low in carbs, but it's a bit more manageable because it's not as restrictive. Just have a general idea of how you want to transition. Don't just go cold turkey and go back to eating copious amounts of carbs. And some of y'all may find it helpful to hire a knowledgeable nutritionist or a dietitian to help out, or a personal trainer who legit knows about foods and diets. Number two, you gotta phase in those carbs. Now, admittedly for me, transitioning from keto was much easier because I was doing something that I didn't realize that I was doing that would be really helpful later on after getting off of keto. I was routinely enjoying a treat meal every 7 days. The extra carbs gave me a whole lot of energy for training, and I even scheduled these on the weekend so that way I can enjoy them with friends and family. So getting back into ketosis was not too challenging. I got my body into the habit of having some carbs, so I wasn't shocking my system by introducing carbs again. Now, I know that you're gonna be craving a whole bunch of baked goods. Instead, opt for plant-based foods such as legumes and chickpeas and sweet potato, some fibrous vegetables, and of course, fruits. Yes, you can finally eat fruits again. Prioritizing these real foods first can also mitigate the risk of you getting sick and feeling bloated and lethargic. But I will say you still gotta go easy on some of those plant-based foods such as beans, because your body could have a visceral reaction to it and that bloating could be really severe, and that gas too. So Just FYI, keeping it real. What you'll also find is that your workouts and probably even your performance at work is going to improve with the result of having a lot more carbs into your diet. Don't get too carried away, keep it slow and transition slowly and steadily. Number 3, take elements of keto and apply it to your new regular diet. So for me, I really like the feeling of being satiated but not super full and bloated at nighttime. I would begin to pair a protein source such as like chicken or fish with an avocado or another healthy fat, and then enjoy an abundance of vegetables, grilled or raw, to make the meal much heartier. I would then prioritize all of my carb-heavy meals either earlier in the day or right after my workout, and that seemed to work perfectly for me. Again, that worked for me. Here's how you can find out what works for you. You start with one meal with carbs. Reintroduce some carbs. I would say anything between 30 and 50 grams, and see how you feel. And then little by little begin to add more carbs to your diet. What I would advise against is I would highly avoid adding carbs to meals that would otherwise be considered a keto meal. So for instance, a meal with about 20 grams of protein and 50 grams of fat, I would not add 40 plus grams of carbs to that meal. So instead do this. Add moderate levels of clean fats to meals to make them much more abundant, such as some avocado slices, some nuts and seeds, and some oils. And those can make the meal much more abundant, keep you feeling satisfied, and also help to mitigate the risk of your sugar spiking or you having a big crash because you've added too many carbs to your diet. And number 4, lastly, don't go and start juicing just to lose some weight again because the scale has changed. You will likely gain a few pounds. Oh my God, yes, you will gain some weight. And it's okay. And you're probably gonna gain weight pretty quickly, but don't freak out. It's probably just some water weight. You may not be able to see your definition as much, but again, it's likely just water because carbs carry water. I think it's like 1 gram of carb gets you about 4 grams of water. But as soon as you cut carbs again, all that definition will come right back to you. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Those are my 4 quick tips for transitioning from the keto diet, but also just from any diet in general. You wanna have a plan, phase it in, practice some good portion control, and don't freak out and go to another extreme diet just to try to copy those results. Just keep it balanced, guys. Just so you know, guys, there is life after keto, there is life after paleo, life after Whole30. There's an abundance of food and cuisines out there, and I think that if you practice balance and portion control, then you could actually enjoy it all and have a really fulfilled and full diet. Comment below with your tips and tricks on how you are able to transition from keto or any other diet. We want to pick your brain. All right, guys, thank y'all for watching. Until next time, I want y'all to keep it healthy, but of course, what? That's right, never ever boring. Ooh! Bye, guys.